What's good, guys? Welcome to my video, and in today's video I'm basically going to be doing another trade recap. And in today's trade recap, I'm basically going to be talking about a trade that I failed at, right? My stop loss ended up getting hit, and I basically want to talk about that today and give you guys a little recap of that. So first of all, where was I when I took this trade, right? Um, this trade that I took, right? It was this morning, and I believe I was at school. Yeah, I was definitely at school, and I believe I just finished my test, right? I had a science test, and right after I finished that test, I opened TradingView and I looked at like trades or like entries that I could have entered on, right? So that's basically where I was, and when I entered the trade, it was basically right after I finished like a science test of mine, right? And the confluences I basically used was only a fair value gap, and you guys will know why I'm using these little finger gestures in a minute here, right? But my confluence was this fair value gap right here. I don't know why it says 1 hour fair value gap. It's supposed to say 4 hour fair value gap. Oops. My bad, right? So basically, my only confluence for this trade was this fair value gap, right? And basically, my take profit was like where I wanted to, where I set my money to be, where I set my exit to be, right? Is this line right here, this daily liquidity sweep, right? And basically, with this fair value gap, right? I I believe that if it touched into this fair value gap, it would give me enough momentum to hit that daily liquidity sweep, right? And basically hit my take profit, right? But but something that I really messed up on is that you see this here, this isn't a fair value gap, right? Like if anyone knows what fair value gaps are, they're basically like, and I'll show you a little example right here, right? Little stick right here, another stick right there, and let's just say this is a downtrend fair value gap, right? Oops, so that's not good. Uptrend fair value gaps and downtrend fair value gap. Oh, why is it like that? Please just go straight, right? This is basically like a fair value gap, right? And the box, where's my box at? Okay, I need you, box. I believe the box, yep, right there, right? So the lines, the lines in between the middle one don't cross each other, right? There's basically like a split, and then that middle line is basically where the box is, right? But something that isn't a fair value gap is something like this, right? Where's my little brush at? There we go, right? This is like an invalidated fair value gap, and this is what we saw right now, right? Something like this, right? And let me just draw my rectangle, right? If you guys can see, wait, not the best example, right? If where's the box at? Okay, right? I I I make the box, right? And as you guys can notice, right, this gap over here, like it's been filled, right? Because those two lines, right, cross each other. They cross each other, and that basically makes an invalidated fair value gap, right? And so if you guys look over here, right, that's basically what happened over here. There's this first candlestick, the middle candlestick, right, that long candlestick, or yeah, candlestick, and then this third one, right? I don't know, for some reason, right? Going back to this, I thought it looked like this in the morning. I thought this was a valid fair value gap. I didn't see that there was a super large wick to the downside that basically invalidated that fair value gap. I thought that this gap right here, this was the size of a fair value gap, and that it was like a true fair value gap. And I don't know how I didn't see this large wick down here, right? It, like I said, it was the morning. I could have been tired. My head probably wasn't in the right place. But I'm really not sure why this happened or why I made a mistake like this. But yeah, so basically, I entered on something that I thought was a valid fair value gap, but uh, it ended up not being a valid fair value gap, and I was basically right. I was basically just entering this trade off of luck, right? Because obviously this wasn't a valid fair value gap. Oopsies. This wasn't a valid fair value gap, right? So there's no momentum to help it move up. And I feel like that's a super, super strong reason why my trade didn't go in the direction that I wanted it to go in, right? Because this wasn't a valid fair value gap, right? If you guys know anything about fair value gaps, right? If price touches into fair value gaps, that's most of the time, right? That's like a price point where uh like a candlestick can touch into that fair value gap and gain momentum. That's usually the purpose of fair value gaps, right? But obviously this was an invalidated fair value gap, so I had no real momentum bringing my trade up to this liquidity sweep, right? There's no like true momentum for that, and that's why I strongly believe that I didn't hit my take profit because I wasn't super analytical. I misread a fair value gap, right? And that led me to take a trade that I didn't even succeed on because I didn't see that fair value gap, or I didn't acknowledge that like it was an like invalidated fair value gap, right? So that's something that is really, I believe, is really, really important for me to acknowledge in the future, that you should, and this goes for anyone out there. I don't know if you know this is something that you guys deal with like as day traders. If this is something that you guys deal with as well, right? Or if you guys want to learn how to day trade, right? And uh, you're watching my videos for that, then, right, this is something to learn from, right? If you see, like what I'm trying to say is be super, super cautious with your confluences, right? Your building blocks, right? Like you guys see over here, this fair value gap ended up being false, and that's a super big reason why I didn't end up hitting my take profit, and a super big reason why I lost this trade, right? So that's a super important lesson for you guys. Always be super, super analytical, and make sure to 100 be one make sure to be 100% confident in your trades, right? Make sure that you have the right confluences. Make sure that your confluences are actually legit and that you're not like misreading them like I did with this fair value gap. And yeah, that's that's basically all I wanted to really talk about in this video. And with that being said, guys, I tomorrow I really really want to do a psychology video, so hopefully I can do that. But with that being said, I'm gonna end this video, and hopefully you guys learned something new, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.